What you're about to hear has never been told to Western media until now. For 18 years, Dr. Park Cheolman held the most dangerous job in North Korea. He knew the truth about Kim Jong-un's health, and he had to keep it secret or die. Today, for the first time, he's revealing the complete medical picture, the blood pressure readings, the diabetic crises, the emergency collapses, and why he believes Kim Jong-un is heading toward a catastrophic health event within 5 years. For more exclusive testimonies, subscribe and become part of our investigative community. It all started like this. In the fall of 2023, Changjeon Street, Pyongyang. Every morning at 7, the Taedong River stretched out beyond my 12th floor window. I'd stand there with my coffee, watching the mist rise off the water. That was how my days began. How many people in North Korea could drink ground coffee? I was one of the few who could. That kind of privilege was my life. My name is Park Cheolman. I was Kim Jong-un's personal physician. I graduated top of my class from Pyongyang Medical University, completed my residency at Kim-Il Hospital, and was assigned to the Central Special Medical Division in 2006. For 18 years after that, I was responsible for the health of the most powerful man in the country. Medicine ran in my family. My grandfather served as a military doctor for the Korean People's Army during the Korean War. My father was chief of surgery at Pyongyang's No. 1 People's Hospital. A doctor who handles human life, holds the most sacred profession. That was the creed our family lived by. My wife, Sun-hee, had been a nursing professor. She taught students at the Medical College of Kim Il-sung University. Our son, Min-sok, became a diplomat at 30. Our daughter, Soo-jin, graduated from the Pyongyang University of Music and Dance at 27 and was building a career as a classical vocalist. A perfect family, the kind other people looked at and envied. Every month, we received special rations: rice, pork, chicken, even imported fruit. On holidays, we got vouchers for the foreign currency stores. My family didn't know what hunger felt like. While most North Koreans were stretching corn porridge into meals, white rice was on our table every night. We set a proper ancestral table at Chuseok. Every time I visited my grandfather's grave, I'd tell him, "Your grandson has done well." But something began to shift in 2023. Kim Jong-un's health was declining visibly. His face was puffy. His breathing was labored. He wheezed climbing stairs. His weight had passed 140 kilograms. His blood sugar was at dangerous levels. His blood pressure was unstable. As a physician, I could see how serious it was. One evening, I sat alone in my office, at the Central Special Medical Division, staring at his chart. 3 months of blood glucose readings, blood pressure logs, EKG results, all of it. Moving in the wrong direction. Left unchecked, serious complications could emerge within 5 years. My conscience as a doctor told me to push for immediate lifestyle changes. But there was a problem. He wasn't a patient. He was a god. No matter what I said medically, the final word was always his. You should cut back on drinking. Weight loss is urgent. Even those words had to be delivered carefully. Say the wrong thing and the response could come back. Who are you to give me orders? I stood at the window watching the Taedong River below. Am I a doctor, I thought, or just a servant? I thought of my grandfather staying up through the night during the Korean War, operating on wounded soldiers to keep them alive. I heard my father's voice. A doctor stands before a patient with no rank, no status. Only life matters. But the patient in front of me now was different. In his presence, medicine didn't matter. Science didn't matter. Conscience didn't matter. Only loyalty. That night I came home and told my wife, "Something's wrong with me lately. A doctor who can't actually treat his patient. Is that even right?" She took my hand. "Be careful," she said. "Don't say things like that out loud. Think about our family." She was right. One misstep from me and everyone I loved was at risk. That was how the fall of 2023 deepened around me. Outside the Changjeon Street apartment, the ginkgo trees were turning yellow. Something inside me was yellowing too. My pride as a physician quietly dying. I didn't know then that this was only the beginning. That a tide was already moving. One that would sweep away my life and the fate of my entire family. March 2024. I will never forget that day. An emergency call came in, not to the Special Medical Division, but to Kim Jong-un's private office. It was 2 in the morning. I threw on my clothes, grabbed my bag, and got into the car. Escort vehicles locked in ahead and behind. As we raced through the empty streets of Pyongyang, when I arrived, the news hit me like a wall. He had collapsed. He was lying on the sofa in his office, face white, cold sweat soaking through his shirt. I took his blood pressure immediately, 190/110. Dangerous. His blood sugar was above 300. Acute hypertensive crisis combined with diabetic shock. We need to get you to a hospital right now, I said. He sat up and shouted, a hospital, and let rumors spread that I've been hospitalized. I tried again. But sir, in this condition, he stopped me with his eyes. Comrade Park Cholman. His voice dropped to something quieter and colder. Do you have any idea what happens if word gets out about my health? The Americans, the South Korean puppets? What do you think they'd say? Kim Jong-un is sick. Kim Jong-un is dying. The regime is collapsing. Is that what you want? I lowered my head. No, sir. He moved closer. Then shut up and give me the medicine. And not a word of this to anyone. Understood? Yes, sir. I administered emergency treatment antihypertensives, insulin. Within an hour, he had stabilized. But nothing was fixed. Without a change in his habits, this would happen again. That was certain. A few days later, I saw him for a routine examination. I delivered the results carefully. Sir, I'd recommend reducing your alcohol intake, adjusting your diet as well, and incorporating some regular exercise. He slammed the table before I could finish. You dare give me orders? Who do you think you are, interfering in how I live? I froze. I apologize, sir. But medically speaking, you know what matters more than medicine? The Democratic People's Republic of Korea. When I look strong, the people feel safe and our enemies feel fear. His voice was rising. Your job isn't to lecture me. Your job is to make the world believe I'm healthy. Is that clear? I was placed under house arrest for 3 days. State security agents were stationed outside my door. My wife came to me shaking. What happened? I couldn't answer. I just shook my head. On the 3rd day, I heard that a colleague had disappeared. Senior physician Ri Myung-cheol, 5 years older than me, assigned to the same division. He had also advised Kim Jong-un to take better care of his health. He was sent to a political prison camp. I couldn't believe it. Ri Myung-cheol had been a professor at Pyongyang Medical University, a distinguished physician, published and respected. And he was imprisoned simply for worrying about his patient. A year later, word reached me. He had died in the camp. Malnutrition and pneumonia. He was 62. I can still see his elderly mother, standing outside the division building screaming, what did my son do wrong? Is it a crime for a doctor to worry about his patient? That night, sleep wouldn't come. I thought of my grandfather up through the night during the war, saving lives. A doctor makes no distinction between high and low when standing before a patient. That's what he believed. So what was I doing? I wasn't serving a patient. I was serving a god. I wasn't protecting life. I was protecting power. What good was the Hippocratic Oath here? Medicine didn't matter. Conscience didn't matter. Science didn't matter. Only loyalty. My wife took my hand. Please be careful. Think about our children. She was right. But something inside me was caving in. Why had I become a doctor? I studied medicine to save people. Now I was saving a regime. That was when I understood for the first time that something was fundamentally broken. In this country, in this system. One evening in June 2024, my son Min-seok came home from work and his face told me something was wrong. He was the kind of son who always walked through the door bright and cheerful. Not that evening. He went straight to his room and didn't come out. At dinner, he barely spoke. He'd lift his spoon, set it down, lift it again. My wife asked him gently, Min-seok, what's wrong? He looked up at me. His eyes were wet. Father? His voice was unsteady. Today, someone came from the State Security Department. My spoon nearly slipped from my fingers. What did they want? He started to cry. They told me to watch you. Everything you say, everything you do, everyone you meet, report it all. Come in once a week and hand in a written report. My mind went blank. My son. My own son reporting on me. Why you? He wiped his eyes. Because you're Kim Jong-un's physician, father. You handle state secrets. They said close surveillance is required, and that family members are the most effective watchers. My wife cried out, what is this? A son spying on his own father. Min-seok's head dropped. I hate this too, mother. But if I refuse our whole family... He couldn't finish the sentence. Our daughter Soo-jin was crying too. Does that mean we can't even talk freely in our own home? Min-seok nodded. I'm sorry, Soo-jin. I don't have a choice. That night I couldn't sleep. Through the wall I could hear my son. I'm sorry, father. I'm so sorry. Over and over, barely above a whisper, it felt like something tearing open in my chest. Days later, my older brother called. He worked as a senior official in the Ministry of People's Security. Shaolman, how are you? Something in his voice was off. Careful. Measured. What is it? I asked. He exhaled. You need to watch yourself. The Security Ministry is tracking your movements. Anyone close to Kim Jong-un is under surveillance. Brother, are you also… He cut me off. No? I'm telling you because I'm worried about you. But Shielman, don't let yourself get any strange ideas. One mistake from you and our entire family is finished. You understand that, right? After the call, I sat there empty. My brother, my son, everyone around me was either watching me or begging me not to move. Was this what family meant now? Unable to trust each other, forced to watch each other. One weekend, Min Seok and I walked alone along the Taedong River. When I was sure no one was nearby, he lowered his voice. Father, I don't want to betray you, but I'm afraid. If I don't file the reports, they'll take me. I put my arm around his shoulders. Min Seok, this isn't your fault. He wept. Father, this country isn't right. Even during the Korean War, it wasn't like this, they say. Children reporting parents, brothers suspecting brothers. Is this normal? That was when I knew. My son had already seen it clearly. He understood that this system was wrong. But we were trapped. Prisoners inside a giant cage watching each other. On the walk home, my sister-in-law called. Brother-in-law, your brother has been drinking every night lately, crying. He keeps saying he's worried about you but can't help. Please be careful. Tears came. My brother was suffering too. But there was nothing he could do. If he protected me, his family would be at risk. That was Yanjuaje guilt by association. One person's crime and 3 generations fall. That night I told my wife, I can't let our children live like this. She looked at me alarmed. What are you saying? I don't know yet. But I have to do something. I can't let Min Seok spend his whole life watching his own father and drowning in guilt. She gripped my hand. We have to be careful. Min Seok is listening. She was right. Even inside our own home, we couldn't speak freely anymore. Our son was always listening. A world that turns children into informants. A system that makes brothers suspect brothers. Is this how human beings are supposed to live? Can you imagine it, a parent who can't look their own child in the eye? From that point on, I prayed every night. To my Father above. Tell me what to do. How do I protect these children? No answer came. But deep down, I already knew. This could not go on. A decision had to be made. September 15, 2024. I will never forget that day. 4 in the morning. Emergency call, not to the Special Medical Division, but to Kim Jong-un's private office. Something was wrong. I grabbed my bag and got in the car. When I arrived, state security agents stood outside the entrance, faces tight. Hurry! Inside, Kim Jong-un was on the floor. My heart dropped. I rushed to him and checked his pulse. Faint, but there. Sir! No response. He was unconscious. I started emergency procedures immediately. Blood pressure 210/120, critical. Blood sugar over 400, acute hypertensive crisis, combined with diabetic shock. He needs a hospital right now, I shouted. The state security chief's voice was flat. No, treat him here. No hospital. That's an order, I pushed back. His life is in danger. It doesn't matter. No hospital. There was nothing I could do. I pulled the emergency medications from my bag, antihypertensives, insulin. I connected the EKG monitor. 10 minutes later, he stirred. A low groan. His eyes opened. Are you all right, sir? He gave a faint nod. Water. I gave it to him. He drank for a long moment, then pushed himself upright on the sofa. Don't tell anyone. That was the first thing out of his mouth. Not concerned for his own condition. Secrecy. Yes, sir. But a full examination is necessary. That was genuinely dangerous. The next day, I ran a full diagnostic at the Special Medical Division. What I found shook me. The diabetic complications were severe. His kidney function was declining. Cardiovascular damage was developing. Medically, if nothing changed, a catastrophic health crisis could come within 5 years. My hands trembled as I wrote the report. How do I present this? Do I tell him, sir, you may not survive the next 5 years? But a physician has to tell the truth. I delivered it carefully. Sir, your current condition is very serious. The diabetic complications are progressing, and your cardiovascular risk is elevated. Without an immediate change in lifestyle, I couldn't finish. His face went rigid. So you're saying I'm dying? No, sir. But if no action is taken within 5 years, shut up. He stared at the report in his hands. Are there other copies? No, sir. That's the only one. He picked it up and tore it apart. This never existed. Understood? Then he fixed his eyes on me. Comrade Park Cheolman, listen carefully. If any of this leaks your family, your brother, your nieces and nephews, 3 generations gone. Do you understand? My entire body went cold. Yes, sir. Not a word. I swear it. On the drive home, my hands wouldn't stop shaking. Inside me was an enormous secret. The most powerful man in North Korea was heading toward a catastrophic health collapse, and I was the only one outside his inner circle who knew. If I told the world, the regime would shake. Succession questions would surface. Internal fractures could open. The collapse might come sooner. But telling the world meant my family died. Min Seok, Soo-jin, my wife, my brother's family. All of them dragged into prison camps. That was Yeon Jwaji. That night, Soo-jin came into my room. Father, you've been looking troubled lately. What's wrong? Looking at my daughter, the tears came close. What future did this girl have? In this country? In this system? Soo-jin, I pulled her close. I want to ask you something. If just hypothetically, if Father had to make a very big decision, would you trust me? She nodded without hesitation. Father, I don't know what you mean, but I trust you. Then quietly, Father, something feels wrong about this country lately. My brother was threatened into watching you. We can't even speak freely in our own home. Is this normal? She already knew. 27 years old, and she had seen it clearly. The next day I spoke to my wife alone. There's something I'm carrying. I can't tell you what it is. But if it got out to the world, it could shake the North Korean regime. The problem is it would mean our family's death. She took both my hands. I know what you're thinking. But what about Min-seok? What about our son? She was right. Min-seok was already in their net. If we ran, he would go straight to a prison camp. Can you imagine, I said, what it would mean to save one child and leave another behind? She wept. No, we can't leave Min-seok. But Soo-jin said it plainly. Mother, Min-seok is already a hostage. Whether we stay or go, he spends his life as their informant. If we get out, at least we can fight for him from the outside. That night, the 3 of us gathered without Min-seok. We made our decision. We would run. My wife Soo-jin and me. Min-seok would have to stay behind. I'm sorry, Min-seok. I said it alone in the dark. This makes me feel like a murderer. But it's the only way. If we get out and tell the world the truth, the system will crack. And when it does, you can come out too. Hold on, son. Leaving one child to save the others. I will carry that guilt for the rest of my life. But there was no other path. November 5th, 2024, the window opened. An invitation arrived, a North Korean-Russian medical cooperation conference in Vladivostok, 1 week long. What surprised me was that family members were permitted to attend. Usually they sent you alone. Not this time. It turned out to be Kim Jong-un's personal gesture. Comrade Park Cheolman, you've worked hard. Take your family. On the surface, a reward. But the real message was unmistakable. I'm sending your family with you, so you can't run. The irony was almost painful. What he intended as a leash was our door out. My wife and daughter could come with me. This was a gift from the sky. I couldn't say a word to Min-seok. He was reporting to state security. The night before we left, I went into his room. Min-seok, I'll be back from Russia in a week. Take care of yourself. He smiled. Have a good trip, Father. Look after Mother and Soo-jin. I held him for a long moment. It might be the last time. Min-seok, I love you very much. You know that, right? He looked confused. Father, what's this about? Just needed to say it. November 6th, we headed to Sunan Airport. My wife, Soo-jin, and me. Only the essentials in our bags, nothing that might draw attention. But inside the false lining of my document case was a small USB drive. On it, Kim Jong-un's complete medical records, blood pressure logs, blood glucose charts, EKG readings, every diagnostic result, everything needed to tell the world the truth. At the security checkpoint, my heart was hammering. A state security agent started going through my document case. Comrade Park, what's this? He pointed at the case. Conference materials, medical papers. I kept my voice level. He opened it, went through everything page by page. His fingers pressed against the inner lining exactly where the USB was hidden. Cold sweat soaked through my shirt. All right, you can go. He handed the case back. My legs nearly gave out. My wife's hand found mine. Soo-jin hadn't breathed properly in minutes. We boarded the plane. 2 state security agents took seats nearby. Of course. As the plane lifted off, Pyongyang fell away below the window. My wife held my hand. Soo-jin held the other. None of us spoke, but we were all thinking the same thing. This is the last flight. We are never going back. Meal service came rice and side dishes, North Korean rice. I took one spoonful and thought, is this the last time? That taste has never left me. We landed in Vladivostok. The moment my feet touched Russian soil, something felt different. This wasn't North Korea. It was another country, somewhere with a different kind of air. We checked into the hotel. The state security agents took the room directly next door. They knocked on our door every few hours. Comrade Park, are you in? Yes. Still here. The first night I swept the room. A listening device exactly where I expected it. Only the bathroom was safe. The three of us crowded in and whispered. Tomorrow, I said. Second evening of the conference, after the banquet, we move. Sujin, you go first. Say you need the restroom, go through the lobby, get outside. Take a taxi to this address. I pressed a small folded note into her hand. On it, a Korean church in Vladivostok. I had made contact through a broker in advance. Wait there. We'll follow in an hour. My wife's voice was barely steady. Are we really doing this? If not now, there's no other chance. We can do this. Sujin wiped her eyes. What about my brother? What happens to him? It felt like something cracking in my chest. Sujin, I'm sorry. We will get him out. I promise. The next day, the conference went on around me. Russian and North Korean physicians, presentations, panels. None of it reached me. I was thinking about one thing only that evening. The banquet started. Our state security agents sat at the same table. When the drinks came, I kept filling their glasses. To North Korean-Russian friendship, cheers. I needed them relaxed. As the banquet wound down, Sujin rose from the table. Excuse me, I need to use the restroom. The female agent's eyes sharpened. She stood. I'll come with you. My wife moved instantly. I need to go too, may I join you? The agent agreed, and the two of them walked out together. My heart was slamming. 10 minutes passed. 20. 30. My wife came back alone. Where's Sujin? The agent demanded. My wife looked confused. She said she was heading back. I thought she came ahead of me. The agents were on their feet in seconds. The hotel erupted, but it was already too late. Sujin was in a taxi gone. In the chaos, I took my wife's hand and moved toward the lobby. Stop! Where are you going? An agent shouted behind us. We ran through the front entrance into the waiting taxi outside. Go now! The taxi pulled out. Behind us, agents were shouting. Stop the car. The Russian driver didn't stop. He was on our side. I looked back through the rear window. The hotel was shrinking. Pyongyang was shrinking. All of it falling away. My wife pressed her face against my shoulder and wept. We really got out. Yes, we're out. But the relief lasted only a moment. Min-seok's face came to me. Our son, left behind in Pyongyang. Min-seok. Tears ran down my face. I'm so sorry. I am so sorry. The taxi headed for the Korean church. Sujin was waiting there. And people who could help. But this wasn't an ending. It was a beginning. The real escape was just starting. We arrived at the Korean church at 11 that night. An old building. No sign out front. Just a quiet presence on a dark street. When I stepped out of the taxi, the cold hit my face. Vladivostok in winter was brutal. I knocked. A middle-aged man opened the door. Dr. Park? Yes, come in quickly. Inside, Sujin was waiting. Father, mother, she ran to us. The three of us held each other and wept. Relief that we were alive and guilt that we had left Min-seok behind, both arriving at once. A pastor brought warm tea. Settle down and drink this. You're safe here. But we weren't safe and we knew it. State security had already launched the search. Pastor, when can we leave? He looked troubled. There's a complication. Russia and North Korea are very close right now. The war in Ukraine has pushed them even closer. My stomach dropped. You're saying Russia might send us back? It's possible. The Russian FSB is cooperating with North Korean state security. A warrant has almost certainly been issued by now. My wife's face had gone white. Then what do we do? He unfolded a map. The South Korean embassy is in Moscow, but getting there is risky 8 hours by plane from Vladivostok, and there's a real chance of being detained at the airport. Is there another route? He exhaled. China is even more dangerous, too close to Pyongyang. The only option is, his finger moved across the map, Mongolia. Mongolia, yes. Mongolia has a complicated relationship with North Korea, but it's friendly with South Korea. There's a South Korean embassy in Ulaanbaatar. Get there and you're safe. From Vladivostok to Mongolia, thousands of miles. How do we get there? Overland. There's no other way. Hidden in a freight truck through Siberia. It could take days. That night we hid in the church basement. No windows. A bare room. Sujin was trembling. Father, what if we're caught? We won't be. We won't. But my voice was shaking too. The next morning brought devastating news. The pastor came down in a rush. This is serious. North Korean state media just ran an announcement. They're saying the Park Cheolmin family betrayed the fatherland and fled. He showed me his phone. Korean Central News Agency, Traitor Park Cheolmin, personal physician to Marshal Kim Jong-un, was bought by imperialist forces and fled the country with his family. Declared a traitor, arrest warrant issued. And then the last line hit like a blow. The traitor's son, Park Min-seok, is currently under investigation. I dropped the phone. Min-seok, our son. My wife screamed and collapsed to her knees. Sujin was on the floor beside her. My brother. They took my brother. I reached out through a broker's contact. The news was confirmed. Min-seok had been arrested. He would be transferred to a political prison camp. My brother's family was under investigation as well. The Yeonjwaje had begun. I sank to the floor. I had killed my own son with my own hands. Min-seok, I'm sorry. Your father is a murderer. I did this to you. I pressed my face to the ground and wept. My wife put her hand on my back. This isn't your fault. The system is what's wrong. But it meant nothing. I had made the decision. I had sacrificed my son. Sujin wiped her eyes and said quietly, Father, for Min-seok's sake, we have to finish this. We have to get the truth out. If the system falls, he gets out too. That's the only way to save him. She was right. Stopping now would make Min-seok's sacrifice meaningless. We had to survive, expose Kim Jong-un's medical records, and shake the regime. That was the only thing left that could save him. On the third day, a truck arrived behind the church. The pastor said, This truck goes through Siberia to the Mongolian border. You'll have to hide in the cargo hold. I've packed food and water. The hold was dark. A narrow gap between crates, barely enough for the three of us to sit. You'll need to hold on for several days. I know it's hard. The pastor's face was full of apology. It's fine. Thank you, Pastor. I took his hands. We owe you our lives. He held on. God is with you. Please arrive safely. The door closed. Darkness. The engine turned over. The truck began to move. We were leaving Vladivostok, cutting across Russia toward Mongolia. The cargo hold was freezing, well below zero. We pressed together, shaking. The truck ran day and night without stopping. I lost track of time. The hours blurred into each other. The food ran out, then almost all the water. Hunger, cold, fear, everything pressing down at once. Sujin collapsed. Sujin, stay with me. Her forehead was burning. She had a fever. Not here. You can't go down here. My wife and I held her between us, sharing our warmth. Just hold on, Sujin. We're almost there. Please, I prayed. To my father. To my mother. Then the truck stopped. The door opened. Cold wind and light came rushing in. We're here. This is the Russian-Mongolian border. The driver extended his hand. From here you walk. Mongolia is just beyond that rise. A vast, empty plain stretched before us. Border patrols run rotations. Don't get caught. Cross at night. That night in -20 degrees, we crossed on foot. I carried Sujin on my back, my wife's hand in mine. Snow-covered ground, one step at a time. My feet went numb. Every breath felt like it was shredding my lungs. Just a little further. Just a little further. I kept saying it. Behind us, headlights appeared. A Russian border patrol vehicle. Run! We ran. Stop! Stop right there! Russian voices behind us. A gunshot warning or something else. We didn't look back. Sujin murmured against my neck. Father, I can't. Hold on, Sujin. Almost there. Almost. We crossed the line. Mongolian soil. The Russians didn't follow. I fell into the snow, gasping. My wife looked up at the sky and wept. We made it. We're alive. But the grief was heavier than the relief. Min-seok. Where was he right now? How much was he suffering? Min-seok, Father is coming for you. Hold on. Local Korean Mongolians found us and brought us to Ulaanbaatar. When the South Korean embassy came into view, I couldn't hold it anymore. The Korean flag was moving in the wind. That's our flag. That's our country's flag. I knocked on the embassy door. A consular officer appeared. Please help us. We are North Korean defectors. He opened the door and ushered us in. You're safe. It's over. When he said those words, everything inside me broke open. I sank to the floor and wept. We were alive. We had made it through North Korea, through Russia, through all of it. But the ache on one side of my chest never left. Min Sok, my son, my brother's family, suffering somewhere right now because of me. Surviving felt like its own kind of guilt. Mongolian Ulaanbaatar, South Korean Embassy, December 10th, 2024. The consular officer brought warm tea. Rest a moment. You've been through a great deal. The three of us drank in silence. The first warm tea in a month. Sujin was taken to the hospital. She had developed frostbite crossing the border. 2 of her toes had turned black. The doctor said, a little longer and we would have had to amputate. She's fortunate. My wife held Sujin's hand and wept. Are you all right? Sujin smiled. Mother, I'm fine. We made it. I had never seen my 27-year-old daughter look so strong. The officer told me, Dr. Park, the South Korean government is sending a special aircraft. Given the nature of your case, a defection by Kim Jong-un's personal physician, it's being handled at the highest level. I nodded. Thank you. Then he said carefully, have you heard about your son? My chest seized. What's happened? North Korean state media reported it. Park Min-seok has been transferred to Camp 15. All the strength went out of me. Camp 15, the most notorious of the political prison camps. The place where people disappeared and never came back. Min-seok is. In there, I couldn't finish. My wife nearly collapsed. Our son. I wanted to cry too, but I held it. There was still something that had to be done. I couldn't fall apart now. Officer, I steadied my voice. In my document case, there's a USB drive. It contains Kim Jong-un's complete medical records. Please get it to the South Korean government. His eyes widened. You're serious? Kim Jong-un's medical records? His blood pressure, blood glucose, EKG results, everything. And my clinical assessment. Within 5 years, he will face a critical health event. That is my medical judgment. This is extraordinary information. He took the USB. I'll report this immediately. 3 days later, the special aircraft arrived. South Korean Air Force transport. As I boarded, I turned and looked back. Mongolian ground. Beyond it, Russia. Beyond that, North Korea. Min-seok was there. Somewhere in that camp, suffering at this very moment. Min-seok. I said it quietly. Father will come for you. When the system falls, you'll walk out. Wait for me, son. The aircraft lifted off. Clouds through the window. Sunlight above them. My wife took my hand. Are we really going to Korea? Yes, we're going. Then why does it feel like this? She started to cry. We survived. We found our freedom. Why does it hurt this much? I felt the same. We had gained our freedom, but we had lost our son. For the entire flight, one question ran through my mind. Was this the right choice? Was it right to sacrifice one child to bring the others through? I think I will wrestle with that question for the rest of my life. The cabin announcement came. We will shortly be arriving at Incheon Airport. Korean words. Our language. A slightly different accent from the north, but the same tongue. Through the window, the Korean peninsula appeared. City lights glittering below. Seoul. Is that Seoul? Sujin asked. Yes, that's Seoul. In North Korea, nights went dark. No electricity. But Seoul was blazing. Light everywhere, even in the middle of the night. It's so different, Sujin whispered. The plane touched down. Incheon Airport. The door opened and South Korean officials were waiting. Are you Dr. Park Chae-il-min and his family? Yes. Welcome. Welcome to the Republic of Korea. When those words reached me, the tears I had been holding finally came. Thank you. Thank you so much. We were taken to a VIP lounge. On the way, the world around us was a kind of shock, people moving everywhere even late at night. Storefronts blazing with light, abundance in every direction. In the lounge, an NIS officer was waiting. Dr. Park, we've received the USB and reviewed the contents. This is remarkable intelligence. Please make it public. The world needs to know the truth about the Kim Jong-un regime. We will at the right time in the right way. He paused. And regarding your son, we'll do everything in our power. We'll monitor through our intelligence network and look for any avenue to secure his release. Please. I bowed my head. My son. Please keep him alive. That night I slept in a government facility. The bed was impossibly soft. The blankets were warm. Sleep wouldn't come. Min-seok was lying on a cold camp floor right now, hungry, freezing. His father was in a warm bed and his son was there. Through the window, Seoul's nightscape glittered, a city full of light, a place of freedom. But my heart was still pointing north, toward the dark, toward my son. Min-seok, we will meet again. Father is coming for you. When the system falls, I will hold you. Hold on, son. Just hold on. Tears soaked into the pillow. Freedom had been found. But the fight wasn't over. The real battle was just beginning to break the system, to bring my son home. That's why I survived. January 2025, Seoul. The first thought I had when I stepped onto South Korean soil was, this is a different world. I walked out of the government facility and onto the street for the first time. 5 in the morning, and a convenience store had its lights blazing. Why is that store open? Sujin asked. It stays open all night. You can buy things any time. That's incredible. We went inside. Every shelf was full triangle kimbap, packed lunches, snacks, drinks, an abundance North Korea couldn't have imagined. We can buy all of this? My wife asked, eyes wide. The clerk smiled. Everything here is for sale. I paid with a debit card the government had given us. In North Korea, money barely functioned. Here, a thin piece of plastic could buy anything in the world. Strange and overwhelming. The first week was adjustment. We stayed in a government protection facility. I didn't go through Hanawon, the standard resettlement center, because my case required a separate program. Korean life orientation, speech adjustment, vocational training. The language was the hardest part. Same Korean, but the accent was different. New expressions I'd never heard. Foreign words everywhere. Report, meeting, schedule, spoken as though they were natural. At first, I had no idea what people meant. Sujin adapted fastest. Youth, I suppose. Within a month, she had nearly mastered the Seoul accent. Father, do you know what jeonmat means? What? It means something tastes amazing. New slang everywhere. I had to re-qualify as a physician. My North Korean medical degree wasn't recognized in South Korea. I would have to sit for examinations. Starting over in my late 50s wasn't easy, but I worked. I woke at 4 in the morning to study Korean medical terminology, new procedures, current techniques. 6 months later, I passed. I began work as a consulting physician at a Seoul University hospital. I remember my first day. Walking those hospital corridors, I felt something shift. Here, patients were treated as patients. A doctor could give medical advice. No one had to calculate the political consequences of telling the truth. One day, I saw a diabetic patient. You need to cut back on drinking. Your blood sugar isn't manageable like this. The patient nodded. I understand, doctor. I'll work on it. The tears almost came. A patient listening to his doctor that was supposed to be ordinary. In North Korea, it had been impossible. Here, a doctor was a doctor, not power's servant. A person who healed. That evening, back in the small, government-supported apartment, I sat down and opened YouTube. I searched for content about North Korea. What I found was staggering. Endless videos, defector testimonies, camp conditions, footage of starving civilians, things I had never known or never let myself see. I searched Kim Jong-un. Speculation about his health ran constantly. Diabetes rumors, reports of a collapse, whispers about hypertension, but no proof, no evidence. Now there's evidence. I said it quietly. The USB was still in my possession. Kim Jong-un's precise medical record. Blood pressure, blood glucose, EKG, every result. Everything needed to tell the world. The NIS called. Dr. Park, we're preparing to release the USB contents publicly. We'll be holding a press conference. Will you participate? Yes, I will. February 2025, press conference day. The press center was packed. Every major domestic and international outlet had sent someone. I walked to the podium. Flashbulbs fired. Hello, I am Dr. Park Cheol-min, a North Korean defector. My voice was unsteady at first. From 2006 to 2024, I served as the personal physician of Chairman Kim Jong-un. Today, I am here to tell you the truth. A long breath. Kim Jong-un is dealing with serious health complications. Diabetes, hypertension, cardiovascular disease. Based on my medical assessment, he will face a critical health crisis within 5 years. The room stirred. This USB contains the full medical records, blood pressure readings, blood glucose charts, EKG results. These are not fabrications. I wrote this chart myself. The data appeared on the screen behind me. His health chart. Cameras fired from every direction. To the people of North Korea. I looked directly into the lenses. The propaganda telling you Kim Jong-un is healthy is a lie. The system is deceiving you. Seek your freedom. You have the right to the truth. After the press conference, the response was immediate and global. Every major outlet ran the story. Kim Jong-un's personal physician exposes health crisis. High-level North Korean defection signals cracks in the regime. But I wasn't happy. I came home and sat alone. Min Sok. Would he have seen the news? Would he have watched his father stand in front of the world and expose Kim Jong-un? Min Sok. Tears ran down my face. This is the only way father can fight for you. The system has to crack for you to get out. Hold on. Please hold on. My wife sat beside me. We did the right thing, didn't we? I don't know. Whether it was right or whether we just survived. She took my hand. Someday Min Seok will understand. Soo-jin started singing again. She began voice lessons in Seoul, performing at small venues. The first time I watched her sing freely, the tears came without warning. Father, will you come to my concert? She handed me the invitation. Of course I will. I went. She stood on the stage. The lights came up. She sang Nostalgia for Kumgang-san, an old North Korean song. But she had changed the words. Where the original asked, "When will I ever go?" she sang, "I will surely return." I wept through the whole song. Kumgang Mountain, the Taedong River, Pyongyang, home, the place where I was born and raised, the place I cannot go back to. After the performance, she said, "Father, when reunification comes, let's go together. The Taedong River, grandfather's grave. We'll go. Today I live in Seoul. I see patients at a university hospital, and I volunteer providing medical care for North Korean defectors. My wife trains North Korean nurses. Soo-jin is building her life as a vocalist. We have our freedom. Every morning I drink coffee and look out at the Han River. I eat what I want. I go where I want. I say what I want. This is what freedom feels like. I understand it a little more each day. But I am not fully free. One side of my chest is still chained. Min Seok. My son left in the north. He holds me. Every night I pray, God, please watch over my son. Keep him alive until the day of reunification. I believe that day is coming. The day the South and North become one. The day separated families find each other again. When that day comes and I see Min Seok, I already know the first thing I'll say. I'm sorry, son. Your father left you behind. Please forgive me. What will he say? Will he blame me? Will he understand? I don't know. But until that day, I will keep fighting. Telling the truth about the North Korean system. Spreading what I know. Working to bring reunification closer. That is all I can do. I want to say this to all of you. The people of North Korea are the same as us. They deserve freedom. They have the right to live without hunger. We must reach out our hands to them. And I hope to see reunification in my lifetime. A people divided by the Korean War, families separated for more than 70 years. I want to live to see them become one again. I live today beneath the Seoul sky, with my freedom, with my guilt, with my hope, dreaming of the day I hold my son again. I miss the Taedong River. That water I watch from the Changjeon Street apartment every morning. The current of home. When reunification comes, I want to go back with my son's hand in mine. Until that day, I will speak the truth here. About North Korea's reality. About the value of freedom. About why reunification must come. That is why I survived. Min Seok, wait for me. Father is coming. Stay alive until I get there. Please.